I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the board, and ask Lynn to please again call roll.
I think that would be Mrs. Berry.
Okay.
No, it's not official yet.
Why not?
Yeah, it is.
She's the new officer. She's the new secretary.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I would be happy to do it, but
That's what
Nadia, what do you think? Are you ready?
You know what? You can finish it off if you want to.
You go ahead, Lynn. She's got to, Nadia's got to have all the names alphabetical, and she's got to memorize it, and she's got to know everything, their middle name, everything about it.
I'm going to let you go out with a bang. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Mrs. Ansnick?
Here.
Mrs. Berry?
Here.
Mrs. Fawaz is absent. Mr. Garcia?
Here.
Mrs. Kaminsky?
Here.
Mrs. Krasanik?
Here.
And myself, Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Will you, all right, here we are. Consent agenda 2, please, Ms. Sonia.
Board of Education approval is recommended for the items listed on the consent agenda, which include the June 27th, 2020 board agenda. How about July 27th?
Yeah.
Okay. The amended minutes from the regular meeting on Monday, June 8th, 2020. The minutes from the study session on Monday, June 22nd, 2020. The minutes from the regular meeting on Monday, June 22nd, 2020. The minutes from the special meeting on Tuesday, June 30th, 2020, and the check register dated June 1st through June 30th, 2020.
Support.
We have a motion from Ms. Sonia. And who supported that? I'm sorry.
Everybody.
Mrs. Berry.
We'll just say Mr. Garcia, or House. Is that all right? Supported by Mr. Garcia, that the Board of Education approve the items listed on the consent agenda, which include the July 27th, 2020 board agenda, the amended minutes from the regular meeting on Monday, that's July 8th, 2020, the minutes from the study session on Monday, June 22nd, 2020, the minutes from the regular meeting on Monday, June 22nd, 2020, the minutes from the special meeting on Tuesday, June 30th, 2020, and the check register dated June 1st through June 30th, 2020. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we're heading toward our business report.
Yay.
Ms. Morgan, good evening.
Good evening.
And we are ready for you.
Thank you. So the first item is the approval of confirming purchase orders. The past practice of the Crestwood School District has been to purchase items prior to approval and then ask for reimbursement. This is not the best practice when monitoring a budget or making sure that expenditures are allowable with a program or account. The attached confirming purchase orders are items that needed to be processed prior to the board approval. Many of these purchases were to make sure the daily operations move forward as necessary. I will always share the list of confirming purchase orders with the board for approval in order to keep transparency regarding our purchases.
Madam Chair,
Mrs. Kaminsky.
I recommend that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the confirming purchase orders per attachment 4A1.
Support.
We have a motion from Mrs. Kaminsky, supported by Mr. Garcia, that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the confirming purchase orders per attachment 4A1. Is there any discussion?
Madam President?
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to thank Ms. Morgan. I did send her an email this morning because I had some questions about, I know these are best practices and I know that they haven't been done. I had some questions on purchase orders versus requisitions. And I do have one more question, if that's okay.
Go ahead. Sure.
Okay. So when I know that we're approving these purchase orders now, do they, maybe not these ones, but the requisitions, will they then appear on the check register when they're paid?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Okay.
You'll still see
Madam
the amount that were
President?
paid on the check
Yes,
register as well.
Mrs. Krasanik.
I would like to say I also appreciate finding out what we're buying before we've already bought it and it's in use.
Yeah.
That happens all the time, even with coaches and employees. Sometimes in this 22 years I've been on the board, it's nice to see someone is taking this seriously, and I appreciate it.
Yes, I agree. Anything further? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
Moving
you.
on to 2, you're
The
welcome.
next item is number 2, approval of the requisitions. Again, this is past practice that Crestwood School District has been purchase items prior to approval and then ask for reimbursement. This is not best practice when monitoring a budget or making sure the expenditures are allowable with a program or account. The attached list of requisitions are items that buildings or departments would like to purchase for the upcoming needs. The requisitions have gone through all the appropriate approval processes and have been approved by administration for purchase. In addition, there are funds available to make these purchases. Once the requisitions are approved by the board, they will be processed and purchase orders will be sent out.
Madam President,
Mr. Garcia,
I'm going to recommend that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the requisitions for attachment A2.
Support.
I'm sorry.
Is it Willie?
This is Brad's dog sitting. He's on the front porch and Willie's barking.
Oh.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Garcia, supported by, who was that?
Nadia.
Mrs. Berry, I'm sorry, that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the requisitions per attachment 4A2. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 3, approval of software purchase from Unitrix software. The district would like to utilize Unitrix software to help with the data analysis and budget projections. This software can be utilized to pull data and make comparisons between similar districts with both financial information and instructional data from test scores. The software is web-based and user-friendly, easily accessible with unlimited user access. The information available can be used to assess progress of the district and the students.
Madam President,
Mrs. Krasanik?
I move that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the 3-year agreement with Unitrix in the amount of $37,906, be attached for A3.
Support.
We have a motion from Mrs. Krasanik, supported by Mr. Garcia, that the Crestwood Board of Education approve a 3-year agreement with Unitrix in the amount of $37,906 per attachment 4A3. Is there any discussion?
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
that payment, Ms. Morgan, that payment, that's going to be one lump sum. It'll go over 3, or will it be broken up in 3 years? I'm sorry.
It'll be broken up, I believe it's broken up in 3 years.
Okay.
Either way, we can do it either way.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Yep.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, of course.
Were we using another program before, or is this something
Apparently, my
looked
understanding is IDEX was utilized in the past.
over? Okay. Yes,
Um,
I do remember IDEX.
IDEX
so
was
this is a
utilized
good-
in the past.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes, of course.
just to add to that, I have experience with IDEX and I looked at the information that, sorry, they're all X's. I forget the name. What's this company's name?
Munit.
Minute. So I looked at what they offer and compared to what my experiences with IDEX, and I as well felt that this would be better suited for our needs as a district.
Well, good. Thank you. Are there any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 4, approval of Resa contract. The Crestwood School District has been working with Resa over the past 12 months to provide ORS, which is Office of Retirement Services Reconciliation Services. The contract was originally put into place for the 1920 school year at a cost of $600 per month. I would like to extend the contract for the 2021 school year so the district can continue to update the processes. The cost for the 2021 school year will be $7,200. We will then reevaluate the services for the 21-22 school year and hopefully be able to complete the services in-house as we become more efficient. The contract is attached for your review.
Madam Chair,
Mrs. Berry?
I recommend that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the one-year contract with Wayne Resa for the 2021 school year. See attachment 4A4.
Support.
Support.
We have a motion from Mrs. Berry, supported by,
Senia.
pardon me?
Senia.
I'm sorry, Lynn, it didn't sound like you, by Miss Senia, that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the one-year contract with Wayne Resa for the 2020-2021 school year. See attachment 4A4. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Number 5, approval of Ahmed as workers' compensation clinic. The Crestwood School District has utilized multiple workers' compensation clinics in the past years. As workers' comp complaints increase and the changes in our work environment, we would like to utilize a new company. This will provide us additional opportunities for OSHA training, HIPAA compliance training, and their focus on rehabilitating patients. If at any time we are unhappy with the services that they are provided, then we can terminate the partnership and choose another company.
Madam Chair.
Madam President.
Who was that first?
Nadia.
I'm sorry, it's so hard to tell who's who. Mrs. Berry.
Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter.
Okay, I recommend that the Crestwood Board of Education approve Ahmed as the district's workers' compensation clinic. See attachment 4A5.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion from Mrs. Berry, supported by Mr. Garcia, that the Crestwood Board approve Ahmed as the district's workers' compensation clinic. Boy, I'm just absolutely thrilled about this. Per attachment 4A5. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
what did you see was a difference between this company and the company that we had? We had
Concentra?
Concentra.
Personally, patient care,
Okay.
diagnosis. I could go on and on. That's just my opinion.
Well, that's good to know. Okay.
Yeah,
so
What
that
I've
was-
seen with Concentra, I'm sorry. I didn't
No,
mean to
go
interrupt.
ahead.
What I've seen with Concentra in the past versus the Ahmed is Concentra typically puts people off of work in order to try to rehabilitate them, whereas Ahmed tries to work within their schedule in order to do rehabilitation or PT as if possible after
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah,
Good to know. Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Oh,
Anything further? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 6, approval of Great Start Readiness Program, GSRP contract. The Great Start Readiness Program contract is up for renewal. The program services preschool age children, providing them with the opportunity to get an early start on education. The program is designed to prepare students for kindergarten, providing structure, social and emotional support, as well as new opportunities. Crestwood School District has been allocated 96 half-day slots or 48 full-day slots. This program includes 3 classrooms with morning and afternoon sessions. I am attaching the contract for your review.
Madam President,
Mrs. Krasanik?
I move that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the attached GSRP contract with Wayne County Resa for the 2020-2021 school year. See attachment 4A6. Monroe, stop it. I'm sorry.
Monroe.
Monroe.
Okay, we have a motion from Mrs. Krasanik, supported by Ms. Senia, that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the attached GSRP contract with Wayne Resa for the 2020-2021 school year per attachment 4A6. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I would really like to see this expanded when they offer slots.
Yeah,
I think it would be a good thing since we're growing and it's going to
Yes.
help the at-risk students. So
Yes.
when they offer those slots, it would be great to, put in for them.
yes,
I would like to
you
see-
are an authority on this because you work in GSRP and you see how important it is that
It
we
is
teach them
important.
when they're little sponges and they suck up everything.
Yes.
I agree. And I think the discussions I've had with Dr. Masalam is in the same vein. Let's expand the early ed. Let them get a good jump.
Yep.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
We are
you. Number 7. I am. Approval of Dean Transportation Contract. The district has a long-standing partnership with Dean Transportation. During the 2019-2020 school year, we were able to come to an agreement in order to save the district money while ensuring to retain current drivers for future needs. The original contract expired June 30th, 2019. However, due to the change in leadership and subsequent pandemic, an understanding was reached to extend services, which resulted in approximately $100,000 in savings. The new contract is a 5-year agreement with provisions of a cost reduction of 45% for days needing to be canceled, such as snow days or other act of God days. The first year of the contract would remain the same as the current contract, with the remaining 4 years recognizing a 2.75 increase each year. The attached contract provides the discussed changes as well as increase of $100 per month for facility use. The agreement would run July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2025. All of the changes to the contract are in red as attached.
Madam Chair,
Mrs. Kaminsky.
I recommend that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the attached 5-year transportation services through the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. See attachment 4A7.
Support.
Support.
We have a motion for Mrs. Kaminsky, supported by
And what I have.
Sia, that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the attached 5-year transportation contract with Dean Transportation Incorporated for complete transportation services through the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. See attachment 4A7. Is there any discussion? I
Madam,
would like to say that I remember the trepidation we all had went to Dean instead of having our own bus, doing our own transportation. And they came highly recommended. They met our needs. They took our employees and made them their own. And they have been stellar as far as I have heard. There's in working with the students and working with staff. And I think it's a good relationship we have with them. Any other comments?
yes. Go
Oh,
ahead,
go ahead,
Ed, go ahead.
Go ahead, Nadia.
Go
I
ahead.
insist that you, okay, if you insist. No, I was just happy to hear that they are going to work with us with this pandemic and
Yes.
give us discounts in different areas. And I'm happy to know that it's been a long time since we've gotten a little money back. So they're going to be a little more responsible, which makes
Yeah.
me happy.
Yeah.
It's less from the kids and more from others. So thank you for taking care of that.
Thank you. Ed, did you have something?
Yeah, I was on the board when the board made the decision to work with Dean, and Dean was very cooperative in making sure that they provided our employees with employment first. And with that moving forward, they have been very receptive with working with previous administrations, but now they have been really receptive with this new administration.
Right.
And they continue to provide savings to us. And those are savings not only to the district, but most importantly for students.
I agree.
Only down.
Anything else from anyone? Hearing nothing. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 8, approval of farm management contract as unemployment administrator. The district would like to use farm management as a third-party administrator for unemployment. The pandemic has increased the number of unemployment claims over the past year. There has also been an increase in false claims made throughout the state. By utilizing a third-party administrator, they will be able to identify the false claims and process denials. The contract would be for 1-year contract in the amount of $2,000 for the year.
Madam Chair,
Mrs. Kaminsky.
I recommend that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the 1-year agreement with farm management in the amount of $2,000 for the 2020 through 2021 school year as per attachment 4A8.
Support.
We have a motion from Mrs. Kaminsky, supported by Mr. Garcia, that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the one-year agreement with FAR Management in the amount of $2,000 for the 2020-2021 school year per attachment 4A8. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
You have information items. Yes, you do.
One more item. I
Okay.
just wanted to discuss the transportation routes being looked at for the 2021 school year. I have to remember, sorry. We are looking at revising the routes for Riverside Middle School. Currently, we have students on one side of Warren that walk up to a mile to go to school. And when you cross the street to Warren, we have a bus that provides transportation in that area. So we're looking at revising and eliminating that route and having those students walk, because we do have crossing guards right there. Once I have additional information from the transportation routes, I will share that as well, so you can see how that it impacts the district. One, it would either cut costs down getting rid of a route, or two, it would allow another bus route to be able to reduce the bus routes in another location and therefore spread children out for the pandemic. So we're looking
Yeah.
at both options
Good.
and hopefully being able to reduce routes and save the district money in the long run.
Good.
In
Madam
addition-
President?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh, you're not done. I just want to make a comment when you're done. I can't believe it.
Go ahead.
That's okay.
Penny.
In addition, by eliminating the route for the walkers in the middle school, it would reduce the need for the double students having to wait a half an hour before school and after school to get back and forth to that area because of the lack of buses to go back and forth. Because right now we have one bus that does 2 runs to that area.
Yeah.
So students have to wait in the cafeteria with supervision for about 20 minutes to a half hour before school and after school.
Yeah. Not the ideal situation, right?
No.
Can I say this? We have been pushing for this for years. Mr. McFarland, when he was our assistant, God rest his soul, but he always, I said, you have to walk 50 steps to get to Riverside in one area and a mile to get there, and you don't have a bus for those kids. And we brought it up every year, and they refused it every single year. So I'm so happy to hear that.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I just want to say that this is a good thing because it's going to alleviate a lot of the issues that we are having while the students are waiting for classes to start.
Right.
And,
Right.
you know, it's going to actually put the staff back in the classroom instead of having to sit around and wait for
Instead of being referees and
Exactly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's a good thing. Thank you.
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Well, thank you so much for that report and all the work that went behind it. It's
Madam
thorough
Chair,
always. Yes.
if I may add to that, I also want to give the board tons of credit on this, because when we first came in, questions arose about the crossing guards. And I want to say that being that the board brought it to our attention, the city of Dearborn Heights worked with us and we identified how those crossing guards can work and should be working. And that is not an expense onto the district, as the city is taking care of that. So I want to thank the board for bringing that to our attention. And I want to thank the Dearborn Heights Police Department for supporting us in this process to make that work. So that is also why we were able to move forward with this. So thank you.
Excellent.
Great.
That's
I
great.
would honestly like to give a shout out to Mrs. Janoon for bringing it up again. I mean, this is a topic that comes up every year, but she was pretty adamant about it and wouldn't let it go. And because of that, people started listening, and the board always listens. So that's appreciated. All right. We can move on then if we're ready for the personnel report. Are you ready?
I'm ready when you are.
We're ready. You go right ahead.
All right. I'm actually super excited about this report. It's been a month in progress, and we have a lot of people who are excited to be joining this team, and we're excited to have them be a part of it. So I will start with our first action item. which is for the speech pathologist for Highview and Riverside recommendation for Sarah Grammel. Ms. Grammel is a licensed speech pathologist with a Bachelor of Science in Linguistics from the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor and a Master's of Arts in Speech Language Pathology from Eastern Michigan University. She is a member of the American Speech Language Hearing Association and has a certificate of clinical competence. She has 10 years of experience in school speech and language pathology, working with diverse student populations, including English language learners.
Madam Chair,
Mrs. Kaminsky.
I recommend that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Sarah Grammel as speech and language pathologist for Highview and Riverside according to the CFT contract, Schedule A, MA, Step 7, effective for the 2021 school year as per attachment 5A1.
Support.
We have a motion from Mrs. Kaminsky, supported by Mrs. Berry.
Sure.
Okay. That the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Sarah Grammel as speech and language pathologist for Highview and Riverside according to the CFP contract, Schedule A, MA, Step 7, effective for the 2020-2021 school year per attachment Schedule 5A1. Monroe, did you have something to say?
Oh, I don't even get me started if I could grab her right now.
Don't worry about it. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, action item number 2 is the recommendation of Miss Megan Pratt for the school social worker position. Ms. Pratt holds a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science and Spanish with a minor in Community Action and Social Change, as well as a Master of Social Work from the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. She has 3 years of experience in the field of social work as a preschool behavioral health therapist and infant mental health therapist, working with families to support the social emotional needs of children.
Madam President,
Madam President.
Miss Anya.
Madam.
I move that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Megan Pratt as the school social worker for Hillcrest Elementary according to the CFT contract, MA Step 1, effective for the 2020-2021 school year. See attachment 5A2.
Support.
We have a motion from Ms. Anya, supported by Mr. Garcia, that the Crestwood Board of Education
I'm sorry.
as the school social worker for Hillcrest Elementary according to the CFT contract, MA Step 1, effective for the 2021 school year per attachment 5A2. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I just want to say how excited I am to hear that we're filling all these positions
I
with
know.
support staff. That
I
these
know.
students
I know.
really
It's
needed.
great.
And so, yeah,
They've been
now.
working hard, huh?
Yes, they have.
This is great.
I didn't know they were out there, but I guess they are out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Well, we're finding them.
I think we were told they weren't out there.
Yeah.
At one time, we were told they didn't exist.
Mhm.
Right.
They do.
They do. Anything further? Hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Our third action item today is the recommendation of Melissa Sanford Noel as a school psychologist for Riverside Middle School. Ms. Noel holds a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology from the University of Michigan Dearborn, a Master of Arts in Educational Psychology from Wayne State University, and a specialist degree equivalent from Wayne State University. She has over 14 years of experience in school psychology and has also worked as an adoption specialist and foster care case manager. Ms. Noel is also licensed across several states and has a passion for continual learning and professional development.
Madam Chair.
Okay.
I think it was
Kaminsky, I think I heard your voice. Ms. Kaminsky, go ahead.
All right, it's fine. I recommend that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Melissa Sanford Noel for the position of school psychologist at Riverside Middle School according to the CFT contract, MA Step 10, effective for the 2021 school year. See attachment 5A3.
Support.
We have a motion from Mrs. Kaminsky, supported by Mrs. Berry. Is that right?
Yes.
That the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Melissa Sanford Noel for the position of school psychologist at Riverside Middle School according to the CFT contract MA Step 10, effective for the 2020-2021 school year per attachment 5A3. Is there any discussion?
Again, Madam Chair, if I could just say, this is really exciting to see that we're getting the support staff that the students need, and I'm thrilled.
Mrs. Berry, you have not stopped smiling. Do you know that?
Well, because I didn't know they existed, and I'm so happy to see that they did exist.
You're just smiling away. So,
Yes.
so
Madam
you're-
President, Madam President, I couldn't agree more. I mean, we've been, I think, unfortunately, the children that have graduated already missed out on a lot of the support. And thank you to our administration for finding the proper candidates for them. And I'm going to miss this part of it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to miss this part of it.
Yeah, don't you start, girl.
But you keep going forward.
Absolutely. Try and stop us, right? Absolutely.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd also like to say maybe these people have come out of the woodwork that we were told didn't exist because they see our new administration and how cohesive the board and administration work as one, and they want to be part of us, which I can understand why. It's a great place to be.
Exciting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And let us also acknowledge the wisdom of the board in hiring.
Absolutely.
Yes. It's about the board, and look what we did. See that?
Well, thank you to the board for allowing me to hire Linda and Penny. That's what it comes down to.
Tight staff. Okay, anything further? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, recommendation number 4 is for a district-wide occupational therapist, Elizabeth Knott. Ms. Knott holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in Exercise and Health Science from Alma College and a Master of Occupational Therapy from Eastern Michigan University. She has worked in the field of occupational therapy for 10 years. She also has experience providing services in telehealth.
Madam Chair,
Madam President.
Mrs. Berry.
I recommend that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Elizabeth Knott for the position of District Occupational Therapist according to the CFT contract MA Step 7, effective for the 2021 school year. See attachment 5A4.
Support?
We have a motion from Mrs. Berry, supported by Ms. Senia, that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Elizabeth Knott for the position of District Occupational Therapist according to the CFT contract MA Step 7, effective for the 2020-2021 school year. Attachment 5A4. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
if I could jump right now, I would, because this is like so exciting to know that we're going to have our own OT and that we don't have to contract out. And
Yeah.
the savings that are going to come with
Favor.
this.
Yeah.
So whoever,
Agreed.
I'm sure Dr. Musalam, Dr. Lazar, you guys really hit a home run with this one. So
Yep.
thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. I agree.
Mhm.
I think we all agree. Anything further? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now, Colleen, I heard you come in. I think you're on a 2-minute delay or 2-second delay. So the next time you want,
That's all right. I'm just kidding. I'm getting
I
tired.
hear you like 2 seconds after everyone else. So I'll be
Don't even worry about it. I told you before we started. I
right. All
am
right.
not visible. Don't worry about it.
I know you're there. Okay. Ready to roll.
Recommendation number 5 is for Mr. Leon Wallace in the position of High School PBIS and Restorative Practice Facilitator. Mr. Wallace holds a Bachelor of Science in Computer Information Systems and a Master's in Educational Leadership, both from Marygrove College. He has worked on developing mentorship initiatives to support at-risk students and has worked on the development of positive behavior support programs in a school setting. Mr. Wallace has been dedicated to the Crestwood schools for 4 years, serving in the capacity of our SRC coordinator.
Madam President,
Mr. Garcia.
I'm going to recommend the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Mr. Leon Wallace for the position of High School PBIS and Restorative Practices Coordinator, according to the administrator contract, Class 1, Step 1, effective for the 2020-2021 school year. See attachment 5A5.
Support.
Support, who is that?
Barry.
Mrs. Berry.
Mrs. Berry, why are you so quiet, Nadia? We have a
I don't
motion.
want to talk over anybody.
We have a motion from Mr. Garcia, supported by Mrs. Berry, that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Leon Wallace for the position of high school PBIS and Restorative Practices Coordinator, according to the administrator contract, Class 1, Step 1, effective for the 2020-2021 school year, per attachment 5A5. Is there any discussion?
Good to see him sticking around, and I'm very happy with that move.
Yes, I agree. Anything further? Blech, anything further? No. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Madam Chair, if I may add to that real quick, I'd like the board, I know the board knows this, but I want to reiterate it, and I'd also like to reiterate to the community. This was also allowed us to save money. We will not be replacing the SRC position, as it will no longer be needed. PBIS Restorative Practices will take the place of SRC. So instead of it being punitive, it'll be opportunities for Mr. Wallace. SRC is in-school suspension, by the way. It'll allow Mr. Wallace to work with students who are struggling with social or emotional needs, where in turn using positive behavior intervention supports and restorative practices to reduce suspensions.
Fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're ready. I got
Okay.
you. Okay.
Recommendation number 6 is for Mr. Rashid Beydoun for the middle school PBIS and restorative practices facilitator. Mr. Beydoun holds a Bachelor of Arts in Communications/Psychology from the University of Michigan Dearborn. He has 7 years of experience as a restorative practices coordinator, having built a restoratives program from the ground up. In addition, Mr. Beydoun is a certified trainer through the International Institute of Restorative Practices and has conducted and participating in training at a national level. He has a record of strong student and community advocacy and involvement and is a proud graduate of the Crestwood schools.
Madam
Madam
President.
President.
Madam President,
Mrs. Krasanik.
I move that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Rashid Beydoun for the position of middle school PBIS and restorative practices coordinator, according to the administrator contract, Class 1, Step 3, effective for the 2020-2021 school year. See attachment 5A6.
Support.
We have a motion from Mrs. Krasanik, supported by Mr. Garcia, that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Rashid Beydoun for the position of middle school PBIS and restorative practices coordinator, according to the administrator contract, Class 1, Step 3, effective for the 2020-2021 school year, per attachment 5A6. Is there any discussion?
Madam President,
Yes. Who was that?
Ms. Colleen.
I'm
First.
sorry. Yes, Mrs.
I would just like to say I'm very proud of Rashid. I've known him for several years now, and I am just tickled pink that he's gone as far as he has gone, and I couldn't be happier to make that motion.
Thank you.
Very nice. Madam Chair,
Yes.
I just want to say that I'm excited to know that he is a restorative practices coordinator and is qualified to help our staff in that area. So that's going to be a huge plus to us. So congratulations to our district.
Yes, nicely.
Yes.
put. Anything further?
Madam President.
Yes, sir.
I've had an opportunity of knowing Mr. Beydoun for many, many years, as he was a student in our school district. He comes with years of experience, well educated, but most importantly, he works well with students, and I know that from experience as his teaching in Dearborn. So again, another individual that I'm excited to see here in our district, and most importantly, a proud graduate of Crestwood.
Yes.
That's always important to us, isn't it? One of our own.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Is there anything further? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Action item number 7 for today is the recommendation of Ms. Peggy Snyder for the Secretary for Facilities and Maintenance position. Ms. Snyder has 14 years of experience as an administrative support specialist, supporting 50 bank branch locations with their maintenance and repair schedules, as well as their vendor quotes, payment processing, and customer service.
Madam Chair,
Mrs. Kaminsky.
I recommend that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Peggy Snyder for the position of Secretary for Facilities and Maintenance according to the AFSCME Secretary Contract Class 1 Starting Step, effective August 3rd, 2020. See attachment 5A7.
Support.
We have a motion from Mrs. Kaminsky, supported by Ms. Senia, that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Peggy Snyder for the position of Secretary for Facilities and Maintenance according to the AFSCME Secretary Contract, Class 1, Starting Step, effective August 3rd, 2020. See attachment 5A7. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, recommendation number 8 is for Corey Chambliss for the position of Administrative Assistant to HR and Student Services. Mr. Chambliss has worked in a secretarial and administrative assistant capacity for 21 years. He continues to attend Schoolcraft College for ongoing professional development and brings a history of being promoted to positions of increased responsibility and strong clerical, technological, and customer service skills.
Madam Chair,
Mrs. Berry?
I move that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Corey Chambliss for the position of Administrative Assistant to HR and Student Services according to the Central Office Staff Contract, Class 1, Step 1, effective August 3rd, 2020. See attachment 5A8.
Support.
Support.
We have a motion from Mrs. Berry, supported by Mr. Garcia, that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Corey Chambliss for the position of Administrative Assistant to HR and Student Services according to the Central Office Staff Contract, Class 1, Step 1, effective August 3rd, 2020, per attachment 5A8. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
it's nice to see all the knowledge that's coming on board,
Mhm.
which is exciting.
Yes, it is. It's gonna help. Each of them are gonna bring so much, and working together, there's no stopping us.
Yes.
Anything further? Hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Action item number 9 is the recommendation for Mr. Ayman El-Sersi for the EL liaison position at the high school. Mr. El-Sersi holds a bachelor's degree in sociology from Tanta University. He has 6 years of experience as a student services liaison and college and career navigator, where his efforts were dedicated to supporting students' social and emotional development, working with the PTA to support school success, and building business partnerships to assist students in their pursuit of career opportunities.
Madam President,
Mr. Garcia?
I recommend that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Mr. Ayman El-Sersi to the position of English Language Liaison according to the non-director Central Office Staff Contract at Step 1, at Class 1, Step 4, effective August 17th, 2020. See attachment 5A9.
Support.
We have a motion from Mr. Garcia, supported by Mrs. Kaminsky, that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Ayman El-Sersi to the position of English Language Liaison according to the non-director Central Office Staff Contract at Class 1, Step 4, effective August 17th, 2020, per attachment 5A9. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
this is good to see that he has that PTA experience, so hopefully we're going to be able to build that, which was one of our goals.
Right.
Our parent involvement.
Right,
So
right.
this is wonderful to see. Thank you.
Thank you.
And he
Anything-
is being hired on my birthday, so just in case.
No, we're gonna have to mark that down.
I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry, she threw me. Is there anything else? Anyone else? Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Action item number 10 is the recommendation for Ms. Fadia Jacobs to the position of EL liaison at Riverside Middle School. Ms. Jacobs has college certification in liberal arts and bilingual vocational education. She has been committed to the students of Crestwood, serving as an ESL facilitator for 6 years. She possesses a solid background in supporting families in a school setting through a wide range of capacities, from ESL, special education, and community partnerships.
Madam
Madam
President,
Chair,
Mrs. Krasanik.
I move that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Fadia Jacobs to the position of English Language Liaison according to the non-director central office staff contract at Class 1, Step 1, effective August 17th, 2020. See attachment 5A10.
Support.
We have a motion from Mrs. Krasanik, supported by
That was me.
Senia.
Miss Senia. Thank you.
She's forgetting about me already.
Your voice sounds so different tonight.
No way.
Board of
I know, just
Education approved the hiring of Jacobs to the position of English Language Liaison according to the non-director central office staff contract at Class 1, Step 1, effective August 17th, 2020, per attachment 5A10. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I am just so excited to see all this support for our students. And next year and the years after, it's going to be so hard to choose our valedictorian and salutatorians because all these kids have so many opportunities.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's look forward to that. And I am delighted to see that Miss Jacobs is getting the acclaim that she well deserved.
Absolutely.
She has been
A
someone
long time coming, and it's very
gone
deserved.
above and beyond, done transcribing, done everything tirelessly, and
Yeah.
it's a good thing that this is happening. I appreciate it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
I abstain.
Motion carries.
I abstain. I'm sorry.
Oh,
you
okay.
abstain.
Let me grab that.
Yes,
That's
thank
5-1.
you.
Okay.
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes,
If it
of
is
course.
okay with the board. This is another position wherein we, Mrs. Jacobs taking on this role. We will not be filling her position that she held previously as an
Okay.
ESL facilitator, because through her role, it's going to take on many of those dynamics as well. So again, this will be another cost-saving method, but supporting our students.
Good. That's wonderful. And giving her just due also.
Oh, well deserved.
Yes.
Well
Absolutely.
deserved.
Very nice.
All right.
Action item number 11 is the recommendation for Mr. Charles Silver to the position of the transition specialist. Mr. Silver has served over 30 years in the public school system with experiences ranging from teaching to administration. Mr. Silver has experience with master scheduling, transitioning for students from middle school to high school and high school to college career opportunities, as well as experience as a math teacher, assistant principal, and athletic director. Mr. Silver also has extensive knowledge on Michigan merit curriculum and course development.
Madam President,
Chair,
Ms. Senia.
I move that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Charles Silver to the position of transition specialist according to the 1-year transition specialist agreement effective August 3rd, 2020. See attachment 5A11.
Support.
support.
We have a motion from Ms. Senia, supported by Mrs. Kniff, that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Charles Silver to the position of transition specialist according to the 1-year transition specialist agreement effective August 3rd, 2020, per attachment 5A11. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
all I can say is, wow, we're getting there. And this is a great move. The support that these students are going to need, the support to the admins, this is a wonderful position to have posted. And thank you guys.
Thank you again. Absolutely. Any other comments? Hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Who supported that?
Mrs.
I
Knight.
did.
I'm sorry. Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may, one more time.
Yes, of course.
I wanted to make it clear, and I know the Board of Education is aware of this, but to the community watching, I would like to real quick just illustrate that of these positions, the high school PBIS restorative facilitators, both positions, the EL liaison, both positions, the transition specialist, all those positions are being paid through categorical funding, which are funds established by the federal and state government as supplemental sources to support our students. So those positions do not hit our general fund. They are out of categorical, such as Title I, 31A, Title III, and Title II. We were able to do that per our previous board meeting when we discussed our finances and the board approved the budget moving forward. So I wanted the community to know that when you see all these positions, understand that that is due to the board's faith and trust in our team to reallocate and realign, and the support of our unions, understanding that through that reallocation and that realignment, these are supplemental support services that will not only help the students, but help the teachers in the classroom, the administrators, as well as us as a district to help our students go to the next level. So thank you everyone for your support in this process.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the last action item for today, action item number 12, is the recommendation of Ms. Nisreen Saad to the principal position of Hillcrest Elementary School. Ms. Saad holds a Bachelor of Arts in Education from the University of Michigan Dearborn, as well as both a Master's in Educational Leadership and an Educational Specialist degree in ESL and Curriculum Instruction from Wayne State University. She has over 15 years of successful experience in the field of education, serving in the roles of teacher, resource teacher, English language development specialist, and assistant principal. Through these experiences, she has demonstrated instructional leadership through her service on district-wide initiatives in the areas of MTSS, professional development, school improvement, assessment, SIOP, language and literacy, and the COVID Return to Work Task Force.
Madam Chair.
Madam President.
Mrs. Berry?
I recommend that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the hiring of Nisreen Saad to the position of principal of Hillcrest Elementary according to the administrative contract Class 3, Step 2, effective August 3rd, 2020. See attachment 5A12.
Support.
We have a motion from Mrs. Berry, supported by Ms. Senia, that the Crestwood Board of Education, approve the hiring of Nasreen Saad to the position of principal of Hillcrest Elementary according to the administrator contract, Class 3, Step 2, effective August 3rd, 2020, per attachment 5A12. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
We're so lucky to have Nisreen with us. She just popped in on us.
I saw her name
Look at that
earlier.
smile. What a beautiful smile, Nisreen. We're so happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Congratulations
Mhm.
in advance.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you to the Crestwood School Board, Dr. Musalam, Dr. Lazar, Ms. Morgan, for this amazing opportunity. I also want to reach out and say thank you to the Riverside staff for their warm welcome and support this past year. I greatly appreciated the experience to have worked with a wonderful staff. I'm honored to be named the new principal of Hillcrest Elementary School, and I'm looking forward to starting this new journey. Thank you all.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. for the words.
Thank you.
You landed in a wonderful place, didn't you? I mean, you've been there. I don't have to tell you. You're going to love it there, and everything's the kids are going to love it. It's going to be wonderful. I'm just
They're gonna love her.
yes,
So much.
yeah,
Super excited, guys. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
absolutely. Is there any discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
We're very happy.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Of course.
So real quick, I just want to congratulate and welcome Mrs. Saad to the team as a principal now at Hillcrest Elementary. When I called Mrs. Saad to let her know that I was going to recommend her to the board, she didn't answer. So I left her a voicemail and she didn't call me back. I was like, what's going on here? So I said, you know what, let me call her again. So I called her again and I said, hey, you're not responding to my voicemail. Does that mean you don't want the job? And she's like, oh, no. I said, isn't that a good way to But no, we're excited to have Miss Assad
Very.
as our next Hillcrest principal. We have a great staff at Hillcrest. We got great parents, great students. And I just know that Hillcrest is going to go to the next level with her leadership. We had some very, very good candidates. We appreciate everyone that applied. Again, the decision was not easy, but Ms. Assad came out on top. And the next thing I stated to Ms. Assad was, and you know, I may be crazy that I took on a superintendency, but the pandemic happened after I became superintendent. Are you sure you want this?
A whole bunch of stuff happened after you
right,
became superintendent.
right. But no, her response was, no, I can't wait. I look forward to it. And so we are, again, excited to have Ms. Assad taking on the captain's role over at Hillcrest.
Absolutely.
And I see nothing but a bright future for everyone there, because it's a great staff, great community, great parents, great students, and now we got a great leader.
That's
Thank
right.
you so much. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate this.
Sure.
Exciting.
Okay, we have an informational, as if you haven't taken up enough of the meeting.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Informational
sorry.
item.
So before I go on to the informational item that's listed on the agenda, I just wanted to take a quick moment, if I may, Madam President. I wanted to thank Dr. Masalam for continued support. I learned a lot this past month through going through all of these interviews, but his trust in his team has been amazing and has really made the process of being able to bring on people who are excited to join his vision that much easier. It's a good selling point. But I also wanted to thank all of the committee volunteers. There were a lot of interview hours that went into all of these positions. And so I just wanted to take a moment to thank all of the parents, teachers, secretaries, the parapros, and the administrators who took time out of their day and out of their summers to sit through sometimes, 8-hour
Zoom meetings.
days of interviews and provide that feedback and have that input, because it's been so valuable to see all of their perspectives in the process. So I just wanted to let them know that they are recognized and appreciated for their commitment in making the best decisions for our district.
Thank you.
The informational item is just an update. In addition to some of those positions, we did open an internal position for the literacy coaches. These were not new positions, but of the 3 positions that we had in the district, one of them was never filled and the other one was filled by somebody who retired. So thank you to Miss Marianne Welch for her service to the district. It was her retirement. And so having the 2 coaches, they were split between buildings. So after posting this internally, I'm happy to announce that the current literacy coach and the 2 coaches that were recommended will each be assigned to one elementary school in the fall in order to better support the students' needs in those buildings. Again, let me note that these are not new positions, and the internal applicants were chosen due to the fact that they possess the preferred qualification of a master's degree in reading and or literacy. So Ms. Dina Kismarchik will be the literacy coach for Kinlock Elementary. Ms. Michelle Montgomery will be the literacy coach at Highview Elementary, and Ms. Kristen Raymold will be the literacy coach at Hillcrest Elementary. And Ms. Michelle Montgomery was also identified as what will be the COSA coach. She will be working closely with Wayne County Resa and a group of literacy coaches there, and bringing to the district a lot of the literacy initiatives that are going to be discussed and developed at the county level as well.
Good.
Exciting.
Madam President?
Well,
Yes.
I don't know all 3 of these people, but I do know Mrs. Dina Kazmarchuk. What a wonderful educator. She was one of my picks. I pushed to get her the job in the district, and it wasn't a mistake. She is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. They're going to be a really, really strong team together. So.
Yeah.
and Madam Chair,
Uh-huh.
yes, I wanted to add what Dr. Lazar mentioned. The position mentioned that's going to be working directly with Wayne County Resa is part of a grant that the Crestwood schools are part of with Wayne Resa and Michigan Department of Education, where 90% of the salary will be covered by the grant. So that allowed us to move some things around as well.
redoing things, looking at things, changing the way things have been done, finding the waste that Nadia complained about forever, and then being able to use that in such a positive way. It's like Christmas. It's like wonderful. I mean, what this is for the kids. It's not costing us a whole lot more than we were before. The one thing I wanted to comment on is that the three of you together is you can feel the camaraderie. You can tell that you work well together. You respect each other. And I think because of that permeates through Central and it permeates through the teacher. Everybody gets a little feel of it. And that's a lot of the reason why things are coming together like they are. So continue to behave yourselves. And we're moving forward, especially you, Dr. Masalam. Continue.
Yes, ma'am.
All
Oh,
right.
trust me. Linda, make sure I don't break any laws, and Penny, make sure that I don't spend too much money. So it works out.
Goodness.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to say to Dr. Lazar, I mean, you've gone above and beyond explaining these hires, and I think you've gone way above and beyond. I hope that you don't have to go this deep into any more hires. I feel bad that it's taken up that much time. I trust you. I want to say I trust you. You've done a fabulous job, and thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Madam President?
I appreciate it.
I did want to mention, I do owe you guys some meeting minutes. Dr. Lazar met with the Technology and Curriculum Subcommittee meeting last Monday and updated us on the status for the district. So we're in good shape. I know we don't know what the future is going to hold, but I will get you those meeting minutes. And thank you, Dr. Lazar, for being there for us.
Absolutely. Thank you for all of your support.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. You've got it. Okay, and now we are going to, let me see, discussion item. Why don't we just turn this over to you, Dr. Masalam? It looks like it's all you.
I'm on. It's all me. Okay, good day, Madam Chair. Good day, board. So I'm going to share something on my screen in a moment here, just to go through the plan. So to preface, the Crestwood team has been working diligently since the start of this pandemic, since the start of COVID-19. From the day in March when we had to send everyone home and go to online learning all the way through to this point. And, I do know that there are other districts that have announced, exactly what they're planning on doing in the fall. But in coordination and conversations with the teachers, instructional, non-instructional, school administrators, our focus has been to take it step by step and to work together to identify what the fall could possibly look like. And we understand that there is some anxiety, and trust me, I have anxiety too. It's I was telling some of of our colleagues over here how the last 2 nights I literally had a nightmare. Saturday night I had a nightmare. I missed the board meeting. And last night I had a nightmare that you all started yelling at me, and I swear I'm not exaggerating. And the part of it is because this whole pandemic, this whole COVID-19 is weighing heavy on all of us, because we want to make sure we make the right decision. And no matter what decision we make, we know that it's not going to make everyone happy. But I will tell you, whatever decision we make or whatever decisions we put forward or options is going to be, first, what is safe and for all, not just the students, but the staff and the community. And secondly, what will be as close to a rigorous, systemic education for our students. So I nor anyone on this meeting here can make those decisions alone. So at the end of May, we requested from the union leadership as well as others to put together a task force. And I will tell you, over 50 people volunteered their time to be on this task force. No staff member was paid additional time. No staff member is receiving compensation time. This was purely voluntary. And God bless our Crestwood community because they stepped up. I mean, I was shocked at how many people volunteered and then how many more people would shoot us an email and say, please put me on this task force. So what I'm going to briefly discuss with you that you reviewed over the weekend is not something that I created by myself in a corner office. This is through conversations of people on the task force. And again, this task force consisted of board members. It consisted of community members, teachers, non-instructional, instructional, secretarial. So everyone that's involved in this process. So I want to go through this briefly, and just give me a second so I can give you my screen. I know you see each other right now. Can you all see what the full face-to-face interrupted full online? Can you see that?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. How about now?
Nope.
Nope.
Still not yet. Okay, 1 second on those. All right, hold on. Let me get it here. Oh, here we go. That's why I forgot to do that. Okay, how about now?
There you go.
Yep.
All right, awesome. Thank you. All right, so this is a large document.
Ooh,
and
aren't you fancy? Look
you
at
all you all received this, and
Yes.
as you see at the top, it says draft not approved. And the reason for that is because this is the document. So when the task force gave me all of their notes, I put this document together with all of the task force notes. I reshared it back with the task force, and I asked them to review it to make sure I didn't miss anything. Also, if there were any questions or anything before I gave it to the board. Moreover, as you see, it says draft not approved, is because I stated to the task force, we're going to share this with the Board of Education for them to review. So today is a data review. And then, you know, hopefully in the upcoming board meeting, we will put this on the agenda as a voting item. What I would like to discuss briefly is that what we came up with was 5 possible scenarios. One of the things that we discussed as a task force is we want to look at things as if-then statements. If we're face-to-face, what's it going to look like? This is what's in gray. If we have interrupted schooling, what's it going to look like? And this is what's in green. So what is interrupted schooling?
Puppy.
Interrupted schooling is if we go face-to-face and then we have to close the school down, or the state closes us down, then it turns into interrupted. What I would like the community and the board to understand is interrupted schooling is full online schooling. Okay. Now, if we are not face-to-face, if we are not interrupted, if we are completely full online, then this is what's in blue. And then online option for parents if face-to-face is implemented, this is what's in yellow. Now, there's a lot of information here to go over in a board meeting. And I know the board reviewed this, and I have some questions that I'm going to answer from the board. And I would like the public and the community to know that after tonight, this document will be shared with everyone. So everyone will have an opportunity to look at it. So what I would like to emphasize real quick are a couple things. You know, the online piece, what I would like everyone to understand is that we will survey families, and there will be a survey going out this week. I've already shared the survey with our building administrators, building principals, for them to review to make sure that we hit all the questions that are needed. And what will be the expectations of online instruction, so on and so forth. So I'm going to remove this document at this point, just because there's a lot of information to be shared and everyone will have an opportunity to review it. So where are we in reference to this? So with face-to-face instruction, what I like to make clear is if we go face-to-face, our capital outlay committee task force, as well as our teachers and others, have drawn up how to keep the school clean, how to keep the school safe. For example, we would have.
Colleen just sent a message that she got knocked off the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. So, for example, in that document, you'll see that there would be staggered start times. Why staggered start times? Well, staggered and end start times so that you don't have all the students in the hallway at the same time. Moreover, there would be if you're middle school and high school, there would be more of teacher movement, less student movement. There's a possibility that lunches will occur in some classrooms, but not in all classrooms. There will be lunch that will be spread out throughout the buildings. And the reason why is there's a lot of elements that are really going to be difficult for us to control logistically due to the 6 feet of separation, due to different elements in reference to students understanding and or not gathering. Moreover, we have been doing a very good job with our capital outlay. We have sanitation stations that will be placed in every hallway across the schools. We are going to have sanitation. Those are going to be like the hand sanitizers, sanitizers in the classroom, changing and cleaning protocol. There's going to be instruction on hygiene and what is, COVID-19 and how to not spread COVID-19. So there's a lot of elements at play with the face-to-face. The other piece is going to be online. So how would online work? Well, when you look at the document, the key components to the online piece is going to be, and I'm going to go elementary and then secondary. For the online piece, many of the teachers in the elementary, for example, if Yusuf is a third grader and Trustee Barry, Dr. Lazar and Penny, Mrs. Morgan are third grade teachers. Well, Mrs. Barry may be my third grade teacher on record, but I'm going to see, Trustee Barry, Dr. Lazar, and Mrs. Morgan, because they're going to possibly split up and one will teach English, one will teach math, one can teach science. And the reason for that is because with the online learning, we want our online learning to be replica of a school day. We want the students to sign in at 8 a.m., whatever the start of the day is for them, whatever the end of the day is for them. We want them to have, a 15-minute brain break in the morning, a 15-minute brain break in the afternoon. We want them to have a 30-minute lunch. So there will be a schedule. And then specials will roll into that as well, like art, music, and gym. To take it a step further, in order so that the teacher doesn't have 30 students sitting in front of them on a meeting as such, the students will be broken up into groups of, let's say, 10, and they would, again, meet with a different third grade teacher, and the third grade team would create the schedule. Okay, so that third grade group of teachers would create the schedule for those third graders. When you talk about middle school and high school, one of the things I know, so Mr. Awada at Riverside Middle School and Mr. Fabris in the high school are creating the schedules to try to do the best they can to put cohorts into teams. So there would be a team of, a math teacher, language arts teacher, a science teacher, social studies teacher, and then a specials teacher who would be a team. That team would have the same 150, 200 students. That team would then create what the schedule would look like for their students. Again, still following a regular school scheduled day with a lunch and all that, but that team would schedule it. So, and then in order to make sure there's transparency and consistency across the board, we are going to be working on each team would create a trimester syllabi so that the whole trimester is covered in a syllabus, weeks and dates and what is going to be covered and what the online is going to look like. Every teacher, every team is going to have a Google Classroom blog. And then they're going to have, 1 to 2 weeks of lesson planning done and up on the blog. So there'll be consistent transparency and communication. Moreover, students who may need additional support will get that support on specific scheduled days of every week. To take it a step further, we as a district this year, we're moving to co-teaching, where you have 2 teachers in the classroom working with all students. What will happen is, instead of co-teaching online, the teacher who was going to push in and co-teach with the teacher of record would work with a smaller group of students to support them as if they have additional needs. So through this process, that plan that we are putting together are if-then statements. But when the community and everyone starts looking at that plan, after we post that plan tomorrow, it gives the specifics on how things would look. So to go to some of the questions that were asked by the board in reference to us moving forward and some questions or concerns. So I want to address, Trustee Barry asked, if we go virtual, which means online, will staff be required to teach from their classroom because of the resources in the classrooms, the smart boards, the technology, and new administration would like to see safe interactions to make sure accountability. So we want to make sure that the teachers are being rigorous, because we know they're being rigorous, but we also want to make sure the students are getting as close to a regular instruction as possible. And our response is yes and no. And here's what we mean by that. We are going to be requesting that staff teach as much as possible from their classrooms if we are online and or with the online option, because they have what is required in their classrooms. So, but we are also emphasizing that they have to teach as close to what is required during a regular school setting as possible. But we also understand that our teachers also have possibly children, ages pre-K or younger through, 12 or 13. So we want to make sure we find an equal balance for that. So there will be, I know there will be a large group of teachers who will choose to teach from their classroom, and they will have that accessibility. There may be some teachers that may do it a couple of days a week. But what we are going to be emphasizing, and when we move forward with this, we're going to be meeting with the teachers union and having these conversations. But what we are going to be emphasizing is that whatever instruction is online is as close to real required instruction as possible. And that the administrators of each building understand that they're going to have to support these teachers in that process. Now, if I am a teacher and I need to come to my classroom to use my smart board in order to do a demonstration or a lesson, or I'm a biology teacher and I want to do a demonstration for my classroom. We are going to also allow teachers to, if they want to bring their children to the classroom with them, they can. Everyone's going to have to follow protocol. And when I say their child, I'm talking about their own personal children. So no matter who comes into the building, they're going to have their temperature checked. There's going to be a sign-in system, same system that we're following right now, if there's that need or support. So again, the answer to that is yes and no. No, it will not be mandated, but yes, it'll be expected that the instruction is close to normal as possible. And if that means that teachers have to come into the classroom to do some lessons, it'll be recommended. Now, we have some teachers who I did see in action who their office at home looked like a classroom. And, it really didn't look like they were teaching from home. So we want to put that option out there, but make it clear that we want it as close to regular instruction as possible. So with the current situation, there was a lot of, listen to a lecture, read this, do this assignment, turn it in. That's not going to be the case if we go the online. With the online, there's going to be direct instruction. Also, I mentioned submitting trimester syllabi, as well as submitting 1 to 2 weeks of lesson plans so that it's on the Google Classroom and can be found. We are going to be sending out a survey this week to parents. It'll come with a letter. And basically, this survey, we're going to be asking families to give us an answer to, what would they prefer? Online for their child, and we're going to be asking specifically for their child's name and everything so that we can track it back to the school, so on and so forth, or would they prefer face-to-face? When we send this, in the letter, it's going to state that whatever decision the parent makes for their child, if that is an option, that is the decision that we'll have to go forward with throughout the entire school year. Reason being is because if we have an online option, and I'm going to make a recommendation to the board shortly on what I would like to present to the parents. If we have an online option, we have to staff correctly for that online option. Secondly, the online option, in order for students to maintain a consistent, systematic, rigorous instruction, we can't have students going from online to face-to-face and back to online or vice versa. It'll create too much interruption in the child's education, as well as may not be able to staff correctly if we have kids moving in or out. So if a parent chooses one option or the other, they have to remain in that option until the end of the school year, and I say this, if there's a vaccine, and that vaccine, Trustee Kaminsky asked this question, if there is a vaccine prior to or early, that is going to be determined based on when the vaccine comes out and what CDC guidelines are. So let's say we get a vaccine in November and CDC guideline says we're safe to go back to schools 100% in January. Then we will make the adjustment. If we get a vaccine in March and we don't get, CDC approval to go back, well, because we're so further along in the school year, it's better just to continue with what we have. So that's really going to come down to when it happens, what the CDC guidelines are, and where we're going to go with that. Now, the surveys will be out for 14 full days, and they will be coming out one day this week. The community can expect to get these surveys either Wednesday or Thursday of this week. And then there will be a due date to submit those surveys. The reason why we're going to have a due date is because we have to have enough time to staff and prepare for this. Moreover, we have 2,000 Chromebooks that should be delivered to our district by the second week latest of August. And then we'll be ordering another 2,000 that will be delivered probably mid-September and October. This is due to the overwhelming orders across the nation for such devices. But I want to thank Governor Whitmer's office, because it was Governor Whitmer's office who was able to help us get some of these ordered a little sooner. So we appreciate that with Governor Whitmer. A couple other questions came. Childcare. So what are we going to do for families that they have to go to work and if we got to go online? So currently, in this survey, the survey is also going to help us with this as well, because when we identify families who may need childcare, we are looking at creating a childcare daycare system for families who are working. So if it's single parent or dual parent who both are working, we want to create a very stringent childcare program, which would be from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. There wouldn't be any transportation, and it would be most likely free of or at a reduced rate for families on free and reduced lunch. But there may be a small fee for families who are not on free and reduced lunch. But we have to get verification that the parent or parents are working. The reason why I say this, and I don't mean to be very direct, is because we have to ensure that we have enough staff that can handle these childcare situations for families who are in true need of daycare or childcare during the day. How this would work, this would be a non-instruction, this would be a non-certified adult who will be an employee of our district, who would have 10 students in a classroom spread out, and those children pre-K through grade 7 would be in the classroom with this adult, and they would be working on their online instruction as if they would be at home. They would get 2 15-minute breaks. They would get a 30-minute lunch. They would be spread out across the district. None of the students or the adult of that classroom will be in contact with any other students or any other adult in the district. Moreover, the adult and the students would have to wear a mask the entire time. So we had a very good conversation with Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib and her office, and Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib said that they are working on a bipartisan stimulus bill that could possibly help support paying for this daycare. So hopefully that happens. If it doesn't happen, we're looking at our resources. A couple other questions that came in reference to this was Trustee Sania asked, is the district Wi-Fi adequate? Yes, our district Wi-Fi is adequate. Our Wi-Fi is on board. It's strong. We didn't have any issues with our Wi-Fi. Where we are having a concern is, and it's going to be in these surveys, is what access of Wi-Fi do our students have? So one of the things, again, that we spoke about with Governor Whitmer's office, as well as Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, is not looking at broadband or Wi-Fi, is looking at hotspots. Because what everyone has to understand is if we do Wi-Fi, you got to put a modem in the house. You got to run a wire from that internet provider into that modem. You do hotspots, you don't need that. So both the governor's office and and Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib's office said that they're looking into how they can possibly fund hotspots. So that's something we're working on. And Kristen Frizzell has been helping me with contacts, and we're reaching out to some of our local vendors. The next question was with reduced class size.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
apologize for interrupting,
That's
but I
okay.
have to ask some questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
I personally myself, I'm a working parent. Okay. It was horrible when my kids were in school. It was very, very hard for me to find reliable help. And I had to pay for daycare, whatever, and I had to drop off before school and after school. And when I think about the single moms, single dads, situations such as that, it really does hurt me to think that I'm not going to do anything to try and help those people, those parents that need me the most, because I have to be their voice. So I really have to say that this would bother me. I don't think that I would be content knowing that we would only be there for them from 8 to 3. And the other thing is, do we not currently have an after school program for students? And what time are we closing that? Because I don't want to lose any students. And I have had people tell me that if the wrong decision is made, they will be pulling. I don't want to lose any kids. I don't want to lose any students. So
Trustee Barry, I agree with you. So here's the thing. I will tell you this. We can always extend that 3 o'clock time.
okay.
The reason why I say 8 to 3 is because we have to ensure that if we do a daycare system, we have to follow the requirements of the 6 feet of separation. We have to follow the requirements, especially if we go back into phase 3. And we have to also keep into consideration that we're going to need additional staff, because not for the teaching piece, but for the daycare piece. Because if we have, let's say, 100 students that need beyond 3 o'clock, then if we're going to follow the mandates, we would need, for those 100 students, we would need a minimum of probably 12 additional staff to break those students up into groups of 8 to 10.
Right.
And therefore, there would have to be a charge, because the 8 to 3 component, if someone's on free and reduced lunch, we can cover the cost because we can use our title funding possibly to support that. Beyond the 3 o'clock, it goes beyond our school setting, and there may have to be a charge. So what we're looking at is, how can we use the resources we have without putting an additional expense on the families? Because if we have this online option, so here's a couple things the way it's going to work. The recommendation I'm going to make to the board moving forward is that we offer an option to families, okay? And that option is they can choose face-to-face instruction or online instruction. If a family chooses now, if we have the face-to-face and an option of online, then we're not going to have the daycare system because kids are going to be in school. So the family that chooses the online option, we're not going to have anywhere to do the daycare, because if we have 50% of the kids in school and 50% of the kids online, we're using all of our facilities. If we go to a full online option, like if we are mandated to go full online, then we're going to have a daycare system for, as you said, the single parent and or the families where there's 2 working parents in the home.
Right. So I guess my question then is, if the whole district is free and reduced, do we then just go to the individual family's income, or do we go across the board that the whole district is free and reduced?
Well, because what ends up happening is, being that we're a full district of free reduced lunch doesn't mean that every student is a free and reduced lunch student.
Okay.
And therefore, what ends up happening is, as a district, I want to ensure that the families who are truly in economic distress are the first set of families that we support, so that if we run out of resources or we don't have enough resources to support everyone, at least we're supporting the most economically distressed families first. And then families who are not working, yes, of course, yeah. economically distressed working families first. They'd be the first ones that we would support. And then families who are working, who are not economically distressed, we may, and again, we haven't broken these numbers down completely because we don't know yet. Once we get our numbers back from the surveys, we're going to be able to put an estimate on how much it'll cost us as a district to have daycare across the board. So until we get those survey results back, we'll make that determination. Now, on top of that, what we are looking at is, first and foremost, making it a first and foremost option for our non-instructional staff to be those that would be working in this capacity, and possibly working with the unions to identify a stipend, because it's going to be additional, it's going to be additional job responsibility, job description. So that will save us some money too, because we're not going to be hiring a brand new person. But we may need to hire some brand new people to work in that capacity. So until we get the survey results back, we won't know how much this is going to impact the need for daycare services. So I'm with you 100%, Trustee Barry, and I want the community to know, if we do go online, either it be government mandated, or if the survey results come back that we have over 60% of our community wants to go online because of safety and fear for their children, we're going to address that. And we're going to come up with a systematic plan to meet the needs of our most needy families first.
Right. And my other, Madam Chair, if I may, I'm sorry.
Or no, go ahead.
My real concern too is to make sure that teachers are dedicated to our at-risk student population. I understand, I'm a parent, you're a parent, we're all parents.
Yes.
Yes, we all have kids to take care of, but we also have to think, this is our job. It's my job. If my district tells me you have to come in, guess what? I have to go in. I have to make sure that the kids, the students, get the teacher's undivided attention. And I strongly feel that I want to make sure that they have the support with, if they need a Prometheum, if they need their additions, their books that they need to use with these students. I want to make sure that it's readily available. So that's a big pet peeve of mine. I want to make sure that the support is there. I want to make sure that the students are going to get what they deserve, that they're getting the education. Like you said, yes, we just, breezed through last time because it was all new to us. But now I just want to make sure that our kids get everything they deserve. And if it has to be that staff comes in, I would hate to say, to say to staff, hey, I understand your situation. Maybe you can take a leave. I don't want to do that. But at the same time, I don't want to cheat students. I really don't.
So exactly. And that is the conversation that we have all been having with our teachers. And I'll be, the nice thing about the task force, Trustee Barry and board, is that every teacher that was on the task force, they were more rigorous than we expected. Like what they were talking about, what they want to do, it was very rigorous. And when you look at that document, and then when the community will see that document too, you'll see that no, they're expecting students to be on there. There's many of them that they emailed me and said, hey, I want to go to my classroom, and we said, yeah, of course you have that choice. And the other piece behind it too is, even though we're going online, school administration knows that there's still going to be evaluations. There's still going to be, as a superintendent, I'll go sit in a classroom and observe a lesson, correct? I can still do that online. I just go into the online learning environment. And in today's discussion with Mr. Iwata and Mr. Fabris, the conversation was that, these expectations have to be met, and they will be met. And if a teacher is struggling, we're going to help them. Okay, that I want everyone to understand. If a teacher is struggling, our job is to help. We're going to help. We're going to continue to help. We will continue helping until we say, okay, maybe you need to go back into the classroom. Okay, maybe you need to take some time in the classroom instead of doing it from home. So that's going to be the responsibility of the superintendent, the superintendent's office, as well as the building administrators to ensure that this is happening. And we're going to treat it just like a regular school setting. We're going to hold the bar high. Is it going to be easy? No. Are there going to be bumps in the road? Yes. Are there going to be adjustments we're going to have to make? 100%. But when I looked at the recommendations from the task force, I was extremely pleased at how rigorous the teachers on the task force were making the process. You know, Dr. Lazar, I don't know if there was anything you wanted to add, because I know you talk with the teachers union and all on a regular basis.
No, just to reiterate what you said, I mean, I again also in the committee that I facilitated was, you know, in being in a position where I'm getting to learn the community, I was also pleasantly surprised and really overcome with appreciation at the dedication that the teachers were coming with. I mean, I also had parents on that subcommittee, and the parents and the teachers were really seeing eye to eye on a lot of things and just ready to make it the best experience they possibly could for the kids. So yes, I reiterate 100% the things that you've already shared. Their commitment through my conversations with the union and in that task force is 100% to the kids and willing to go above and beyond to provide them with what they need.
Thank you, Dr. Lazar. And I will say, you know, I understand your trepidation, Trustee Barry. I do. And as a superintendent, that's what keeps me up at night. Those same questions. And we're just going to, you know, I'm gonna put my faith in the fact that, you know, we're gonna have 97% of our people doing the right thing. And the 3%, I don't want to say they're not going to be doing the right thing. I think I'm going to say that they may need help, and we're going to help them, okay, as we would in a regular classroom setting if they were face to face with the kids. Another question by Trustee Sania is, you know, is reducing class size going to affect staff and the budget? Again, we're not going to be reducing class size. It's just going to look different, and it'll look different where in turn, for high school, for example, if I'm the English teacher, 1 week you might see me twice, the next week you might see me 3 times. You know, 1 week you might see me twice for 45 minutes, the next week you might see me 3 times for an hour each time. You know, so that's where the teacher is going to come up with that schedule, and that schedule is going to be submitted to their building administrators for final approval, and that's also going to come to our office where we're going to review and make recommendations as well. The only area, again, that we're not going to know how it's going to impact our budget is going to be after we survey and we identify how many families and how many kids are going to be requesting the online option and how that will impact the need for daycare. Trustee Sneed asked, how does the staff feel about the plans, the teachers? Like I said, there were over 50 members on the task force. After this meeting, it will again go out to everyone for their review, and we'll be getting feedback from everyone that wasn't on the task force. And it's going to be a work in progress. I will say this, if I may. In dialogue with the teacher union, there was a very good dialogue with myself and one of the members. And we had talked about possibly, you know, pre-K through 7 being face-to-face, and then 8 through 12 being online, so that we could spread kids across the district. We had a very good dialogue with the union, and they made sense to me. And they said, you know, Yusuf, our concern with that is it's creating 2 completely separate entities, and, you know, there may be elementary teacher, you know, some people are going to be exposed, some people aren't going to be exposed. And we had a really good conversation about that. And it made sense to me, the points they put across to me. So we removed that from the plan because what they said made a lot of sense. And that's what we're all about. You know, we have these conversations, and, you know, there are some things that are going to be non-negotiable, like what Trustee Barry mentioned, the rigor, making it as close to a real classroom setting as possible. If somebody needs to go in the classroom to teach certain lessons, then they need to go. You know, so those are some things that we will work out. Do we have enough, Trustee Sania asked, do we have enough custodial or lunch staff? So for that, what we're planning on doing is anyone that is part-time will get additional hours. And if they get additional hours, that'll help them. They'll make a little bit more money. It won't cost us very much more. If we go back face-to-face, we're going to continuously assess our custodial needs. And if we need to come to the board and make a recommendation for additional custodial, we will do so. At this time, we feel we're okay, but again, we're really not going to know until we get knee deep into it. And then how will the budget hold up with these different plans? Again, the CARES Act funding that we received is helping us with the Chromebooks. Hopefully, we're going to get some more funding to help us with the daycare. Reallocating title funding is going to help us. Please note too, in our finance meeting, I mentioned that none of those amounts I shared with you are carryover amounts. What that means is that's what our initial allocation is. Every year, we'll get additional funding that wasn't accounted for. We have already made the commitment. Any additional funding that we get will go towards COVID-19. So we will use that funding for that. Hey, and hopefully, you never know, if we get our best case scenario and we don't get a major cut from the state, we have some additional money available to use as well. So what I'm recommending to the board, if the board is okay, this is not for vote, it's just a recommendation up to this point. And then at the next board meeting, we'll put it on the agenda as a voting item, just because we wanted to share this as informational first, and then share it with the community after you're okay with us sharing it as an informational, and then getting feedback. What we're recommending is that if we are allowed to survey our community to identify how many children and how many families would request that their child or children have online, or if they choose face-to-face. We want to give an option. So the two options would be families can choose face-to-face instruction or online learning, but no matter which one they choose, that will be their option till the end of the school year, unless a vaccine comes out early enough and the CDC states that it is safe to go back to schools. I know it's not for vote, but I would just wanted to bring this to the board at this point.
Dr. Masalam, if I may,
Yes,
I would
please.
also like to know if we do have working parents, what their needs would be.
What is she doing?
So we have an idea of what we're looking at.
Yes. Yes, and that is in the survey questions. That is in the survey questions. Because what's going to happen is when we get the first survey, and we're going to also, oh, by the way, my apologies, board. We're also going to be surveying the staff, and I know Linda is working with the union presidents. We also are going to be surveying the staff, asking them what they prefer to teach online or face-to-face. And the reason for that is some of our staff members have underlying health conditions, and we have to keep that into consideration. So that will also help us determine how we're going to, and we're going to work directly with the union in making those decisions. This is not going to be a top-down decision. There's going to be two parts of the survey. The first part of the survey is going to identify who would like to teach online. Who would like to have online instruction. Then the second part of that survey is going to be what supports will you need if we go there. And then if we have to go online completely, if something changes statewide, we will then survey again what are their needs and supports. We want to do this in a step-by-step process, because then that allows us to start putting a plan A, plan B, plan C, just like what is in that document, 5 possible scenarios. So yes, Trustee Barry, I assure you, we will be reaching out to parents to find out their needs.
I guess one more question, if I may. So you would prioritize by the teacher's underlying conditions, but is that a HIPAA thing, or will they be able to just say, yes, I have an issue, and then have to prove it, or how would that work?
So the way, yeah, we're going to have our attorney look at, she's going to give us specific guidelines on how we have to handle this. And because our first thing is we want to ensure that any of our staff who have underlying health conditions and or children at home, because some of them have children at home who may have underlying health conditions, we want to protect their safety first. Okay. And from there, we're going to work with our attorneys to ensure that however we are working through that is legal, but we're also going to be working directly with the union executive boards. So this not, again, it's not going to be something that we are just going to do on our own. We're working on it as a team with our legal counsel as well as the union leadership.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Sorry, I spoke a long time, but
Nope.
there's a lot there.
Yes.
So what we want to do as a board is individually go over this.
Yeah.
Make sure we understand exactly what's being offered and what choices that are made in those choices, what's being offered. Anything that changes as far as, student, daycare or whatever it might be, you'll let us know, Dr. Masalam, so that we can add that into the mix. And then
Yes.
I think we need to sit down and talk about just this. I think that the board needs to discuss this. I wish we could sit down together because it just seems to be so much better, but go through.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry. I do have one more question that I've been thinking about, and I wrote it. Curriculum. Do we have an online curriculum that we're looking at or thinking about that we can? I know I've seen other districts are picking up Schoolology, or I forget what the other one is. Are
Is it
we?
Night Ready?
Which one?
So I will tell you from the responses on the task force, as well as my own philosophical belief,
Okay.
we know our curriculum better than anyone else knows our curriculum.
Okay.
And our teachers are going to teach the same curriculum they would teach if they were teaching face to face. The only difference is going to be there's going to be more of a focus on the main power standards, the main power objectives. It's because you're going to be it's going to be limited time. If you have a student for 45 minutes instead of a whole class for a full hour. So when they look at the curriculum, they're going to identify what is the key element that the child needs to learn from this content area. And that's what the focus is going to be on. For us to bring in an outside online, we're going to lose control. And I want our teachers to control the curriculum because it's their curriculum. And honestly, Trustee Barry, to take it even a step further, this is also preparing us for the future. Because by us doing this, we will be able to create a system where in the future, when we're back face to face in traditional and a child is out for a lengthy period of time, they're not going to lose out like they used to lose out before. So we're not just looking at this as a pandemic of 2020 initiative. We're looking at this as what's our future going to look like.
Right.
And I don't want to pay a company for a curriculum that we have, that we know. Our teachers know it. Our teachers are pros. And again, I wouldn't be saying this if the task force feedback was anything different than what we saw. I think we lost President Ansonek.
We did. She was having issues with her computer, I think.
All right.
Dr. Masalam, if I can interject just something in addition to that online curriculum piece. For the adopted curriculum that the teachers are currently using, if there is an online component, like with the everyday math, for example, the district has switched over in order to purchase that instead of purchasing the workbooks and that sort of thing to provide the online supports for the math curriculum, for example. So if there are adopted curriculums that we do have that have developed an online component that supports the curriculum that's already been adopted by the district and is being utilized, we are incorporating those supports for the teachers and the students in order to do it virtually. So I wanted to put that out there also.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anything
Excuse-
else? Yes, go ahead, Mrs. Kaminsky. I'll take over.
Thank you. That's what I was just going to say. Mrs. Ansonek just asked that someone take over for her and close out the meeting. So thank you, Mr. Garcia.
Yes. Is there any other information that you have, Dr.
Yes.
Masal?
And
Nadia?
Dr.
Nadia?
Masalam still has some stuff to go through.
On the agenda.
Yes.
Real quick. Yeah. So again, just to close up this discussion item, the information will be shared with the public, and the information will be shared with the teachers, the whole staff, and the surveys will be going out this week. And we will come back with more information ASAP. So we appreciate your patience during this process. So there's one informational item and a couple of superintendent's messages items real quick. So one informational item, we'd like to thank Mr. Tarek Turfy, Esquire, new attorney, who is a Crestwood High School graduate. He has resigned as the head coach for the girls varsity basketball team because his law career is taken off. He just recently got married. So we want to thank him for all his support and his years of service. And I do know that the families and the girls that he coached over the years all really appreciated his hard work. So thank you, Mr. Turfy. And finally,
if I may, I'm sorry.
it's okay.
I think we lost Nadia now.
Oh, Nadia, there she is.
There I am. Did I disappear? Sorry. I
You
just
froze
wanted
up on
to
us.
say, yeah, I just wanted to say that he did take us to a few championships. Which
Yes, he did.
we're grateful for. So thank you to Mr. Turfy for doing that.
And then just we have a couple athletic updates. There's some fun things. So with Michigan High School Sports and Athletic Association, fall sports schedule will begin as traditionally scheduled with a contingency concept for potential interruptions. So basically, it's the same thing that we're doing with schools right now. We're planning on starting as normal, but there may be some interruptions until further notice. Also, we want some congratulations, class of 2020 athletic signings. We want to congratulate Jamal Chakur, who signed with Wartburg College in Waverly, Iowa for wrestling. Mustafa Al-Muna, who signed with the University of Michigan Dearborn for basketball. Maya Barakat, who signed with the University of Michigan Dearborn for basketball. Alicia Ortiz, who signed with Schoolcraft College for basketball. Saeed Janoon, who signed with the University of Detroit Mercy for soccer. And Bilal Beydoun, who signed with Madonna University for football. So congratulations to our student athletes, and thank you for all of the families who have supported them through their journey. That is my long report, board. My apologies for speaking too much, and I turn it back over to you.
Thank you.
All right. Dr. Masalam, do we have any questions or comments from the public?
So we have two questions. Question number one is from Consuelo Brewer. And the question is, will Riverside Middle School open for face-to-face learning in September? If so, how will children be kept safe from COVID-19 virus? Will students have to be tested in order to come to school? So I believe we answered most of that just now. But one of the things that we did not answer was, will children be tested before they come to school? At this point, the answer is no. But if children do come to school, there will be a screening process, temperature checks, and there will be a new system of entering the school, again, with staggered starts. But everyone who enters a school will have to get a temperature check and or follow a survey. And there will be more details to come, I promise. And then there was one more question. When will the district announce options, sign up for 2020-2021 school year, in-person, virtual, et cetera, et cetera. And again, that survey will come out this week. It will be either out on Wednesday or Thursday for the community, and the community will have 14 full days to respond to that survey, which will then give us enough data and information to make determinations and next steps. So I appreciate everyone's patience in this process. We just want to make sure we make the right decision with as much data and feedback and knowledge from the community as possible. We don't want to be making a decision just on our own, sitting in our offices.
All right. Thank you very much. And at this time, I'll turn it back over to President Ansenik.
You're on mute.
And Dr. Musalam,
Yes.
can I, that first comment, didn't they say start of school in September? Don't we start in August this year? Just to clarify in case.
Thank you, Trustee Sania. Yes, if we return to school regular, our first day of school for students is August 20. I'm sorry, I'm trying to look at my calendar here. August 31st. First day for students is August 31st.
Pretty close. Okay.
Yes, and the calendar is on our district website, and we'll make sure we get it out there even more.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to now turn it over to President Ansenik.
Oh, she's on mute, I think.
You're on mute, Donna.
I don't think we can unmute her.
Yeah.
I can't unmute her.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, I got kicked out, and Sue gave me a dirty look, and then I got kicked out. Is all. yes, I like the parent involvement. I like going to the community and asking them, what do you want? What would serve you best? Because they're our clients. They're the people we care about, their children. That's what we need to do. I remember being a parent and having a problem looking for reliable, trustworthy childcare. It's horrible. You can leave your children with these people. It's a problem, and I'm glad we're addressing it along with everything else. As usual, we got every base covered that we're looking at them. So thank you for the work you're doing on that. We will review everything, and as I was saying before, probably come together as a board and discuss. Just have an open discussion about how we feel about everything. And before we make any formal decision.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
Yep, thank
I
you.
agree. Thank you.
Every now and then, I have them every now and then. Okay, so you've got retirement, resignations.
That's been covered. We are now at board comments.
Oh, all right. I'm sorry. You guys zoomed ahead. Are there any board comments? Is there anyone that would like to address the board?
Madam Chair.
Yes, who is saying that?
Trustee Kaminsky.
Trustee Kaminsky, where are you? There you are.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank all of the board and administration for working so hard, and special thanks to Mr. Fabris, Kristen Frizzell for making the 2020 graduation in some very unusual circumstances quite lovely. Mrs. Berry and I were fortunate enough to attend, and it was a warm day, but we saw a lot of smiling faces, a lot of tears, a lot of hugs, and it was just very, very well done, very nice, a way to honor our graduates. And it was sad not all of them could be there, but it's hard when we had to reschedule it, but we certainly recognize them and applaud them for all their hard works. And that was all I had.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Yes, Ms.
I echo what Ms. Kaminsky just said. We got teary-eyed when we saw some of the mothers and the fathers. They were gasping. They just couldn't believe that this actually happened. Yes, it was one of the nicest events I have ever seen put on by Crestwood. Kudos to all the staff that joined in and taking care of that. And the other thing I want to say is I was so happy to see Mr. Schle's report. That was a very nice report that he put together, and to know where the students are, what's happening. Thank you for doing that. And it's nice to always have more information than less information. Thank you.
I agree.
Mrs. Ansonik, could I, one quick thing, I just,
Sure.
I didn't want Mrs. Frizzell and Mr. Fabris and administration to feel like they were only ones that did all the work on graduation. There was a ton of people that worked really, really hard. Naja Janoun, Rana Berry, Diane Nazruddin, and I'm sure there's people that I'm missing. So if I did, please, please, please forgive me. But I just wanted to acknowledge that it was a joint effort and a lot of people that put in a lot of time. Okay, I'm done now.
Are you sure?
I'm not sure, but I think so.
We'll see. Ed, go ahead.
I sadly was unable to attend the first graduation in about 20, I can't even remember how many years.
Oh my gosh.
So this was the first one I did not attend. Although I found out late, like the day before, because I already had a previous family engagement. But congratulations to our seniors. Many of them are going on to do many big things, and very proud of them. And then, of course, those that are the academic scholars, there's many to announce that are moving on to college. But it's nice to see that these athletic scholars will be moving on. Thank you to our administration. It's very evident that you have prepared, and as President Ansonik said, you are taking the input, which is truly important from our community, because those are the driving forces behind our district. They are the ones that should be always conferred with in helping making the decisions that have a great impact not only on them, but their children. So thank you for that, and thank you to your support staff. And then lastly, thank you to Mrs. Senya Lynn. I don't know how long, honestly, I have known you, but it was prior to this Board of Education.
Yes.
As a parent of two fifth-grade daughters, of course, different years, you have been very instrumental in providing parental support to our district, and then making the move and the challenge to do that as a board member and as a secretary, a contributing member of our school board team, and making sure that all of us were accounted for, and our records were always straight, and most importantly, just being an advocate for children. So I want to wish you the best. This is not a goodbye. It's just to see you for a short period of time. But I want to wish you the best of luck. I'm glad that I did ask that we did get a legal opinion, because my feelings and the legal opinions are a little different, but I still think you should be here. But hey, we're going to go with the legal side so that we don't wind up in trouble. But I wish you the best of luck. And I know what you've done for us, you will do for the city, and that is to continue to drive them into the future. And now making sure that the residents of Dearborn Heights, their voices, their concerns, their comments are looked at, are answered, and are made aware of, so that they know that they may be a community of 64,000, I believe, but each of one of them will be heard. So I wish you the best of luck, and thank you for all of your support. And we know you're still a Charger.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Eddie.
Anybody else have anything to say?
Yeah, I would like to take a couple minutes, okay? I'm not one to talk that much, but well, at times I can. But first of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Musalam. I think during those interviews, somehow I made a connection with you, and I know your heart is in it for the kids. Okay, you're an excellent leader. You've proven that by the staff that you've hired to bring Crestwood to the next level. And
True.
I won't let you forget it. And if I have to come over there and tell you something that you're not doing right, I will do that. I know where you live. To my fellow colleagues, you're not only colleagues, you've become my friends. We've had some rough times, but with the guidance of Trustee Barry, we kind of straightened that out. And I'm thankful for that, Nadia.
Thank you, Lynn.
You
I
know,
love you, and
I
I'm
think
gonna miss you.
we all are in it. I can say that each one of us here are in it for our children, for our Crestwood children. They're not somebody else's, they're our children. We may have seen something that we didn't like that the school district was doing at the time. So guess what? We stood up and we fought for what was for right.
Yeah, right, girlfriend.
So I thank you for becoming the friends that you have become. Sue, stop it. And I'm still going to be here. And now it's going to be better because we're going to form a partnership. So I'm going to count on you to bring our community together. I'm going to try to get into the schools when we open and get those kids involved in our system, because they're our future.
Mm-hmm.
And I thank you for everything you've done for me and my family, because it's not always been busy, but I knew I could count on you. And for the lunch moms that I've made friends with, for the custodians that I've made friends with, for our staff members, our teachers. And I'm just going to be here right across from Riverside. So when I text you in the middle of the night, I'm looking out for our buildings too. Okay. I love you all. And guess what? I know Google Meets. No, right? And I still owe you some meeting minutes too, right? Kristen, David, for your guidance, for always being there for me. And I'm Charger. I'm always a Charger. Okay. And Eddie, you're right. It's been a long time. It's got to maybe even be 20 years. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've known him. And you too, Donna. And you
Oh, yeah.
too. Our kids went to school together, and
They did.
and
I
and
talked
Nadia,
to
I love
the
you too.
board. I coerced you. I told her, "Oh, it's so much fun. You're gonna love it." Okay, Lynn, I just have a few things because I know I won't get through it.
Okay. It's okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You are fierce and you're beautiful, and you've been a source of inspiration to all of us. We pray for your health and the health of your family. And know that we all love you. And you're not a stranger. You'll always be around bugging us. Pointing out an apostrophe where there shouldn't be one. It's been my joy getting to work with you, and I won't hesitate to call you if I need some advice. Even, and I was talking to Dr. O'Fallon the other day and said, "Lynn surprising you, isn't she?" And he said, "Well, kind of, yeah." And I said, "Well, when you first meet her, she's such a meek, quiet, sweet thing, and then you get to know her."
You haven't really gotten to know me yet.
But you're all of it. You're a whole package deal, and I'm proud to call you a friend.
Thank you. Likewise.
There.
Now, do I have a motion for? Oh, that's you that says that.
You go ahead.
I
make a motion for adjournment.
A motion for adjournment.
So
Second.
We have a motion with support. Everyone agreed. We're out of here. We have a good evening, good meeting. Good to see all of you, and let's hope that this virus goes away quickly so we can be together in person again.
Here, here.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Okay, love you guys too. Okay.
And Lynn, you're on my speed dial now, Lynn. You ain't done with me.
Okay, you know where I live and you know where I work, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good night.
Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you again for all your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.